America, we gotta get back to doing what's expected of us as free citizens in this democracy. That means being tolerant, being respectful, staying informed, and being engaged. I'm former Congressman Joe Walsh. Follow me here and join the millions of Americans who are renewing their social contract with each other. The social contract, it's on us.
I'm going to assume we are live. It's good to see everybody. Welcome to another episode of Welcome to the Party Pal with Mike Nellis and Joe Walsh. Very grateful to be with you all today. We're going to dive into a couple of things today. We're going to talk about the D.C. pipe bomber because they found him after 4 years and whether or not Donald Trump is going to pardon him, given that he turned out to be a Trump-supporting election denier, which is the least shocking thing I've ever heard on the planet. We're going to get into Pete Hegseth. We're going to get into where's my list of topics? Why did I lose them? We're going to get into Pete Hegseth's war crimes. We're going to get into the Henry Cuellar pardon, and we're going to get into the House GOP uprising because Mike Johnson might be on the verge of losing his majority, although I doubt that'll happen. But I want to talk about it because that never happened to Nancy Pelosi. It didn't happen to McCarthy either, for that matter.
Right.
So while people are joining, do us a favor. If you're watching this on Substack, hit the like button for us, the heart button. The more you hit that, the more people get a chance to see it and join both now and later. If you're watching it on YouTube later, hit the like button, leave a comment for us. That type of engagement does make a huge difference in the growth for us, so more people get a chance to see our ugly mugs.
Mugs. Michael, before you start your program, because you run this thing, I'm on your coattails. I love
it's nothing without you, Joe. Stop it. Don't do this.
Stop.
You're in a mood today. You're being very self-deprecating to yourself. Get that.
I'm pissed off. I'm pissed off at my former colleague, Senator Bill Cassidy. Once again, he fucking came out 30 minutes ago, Mike, and bitched and moaned about a dangerous thing RFK Jr. just did. Duh. And I say to my former colleague, what the fuck? You had the power, Bill Cassidy, to stop him. And he comes out, Cassidy does, every time RFK Jr. does something stupid, as if he can inoculate himself. He could have stopped Kennedy. But that's not what I wanted to say. What I wanted to say was, it's always good to be with you. You're an inspiration to me, but you let me down yesterday.
What'd I do?
Well, and by the way, for our audience, Mike Nellis is a very busy guy, got 39 jobs and got thousands of people grabbing at him every day. Yesterday, Mike, was my birthday.
Oh, shit.
My half-year birthday, my 6-month birthday. I was officially a Democrat for exactly 6 months as of yesterday.
You made it. You did it. You did it. Well, you still got another 6 months to go before you get your 1 year check.
It's been a bumpy road, but it's good to be on your side.
I mean, we're glad to have you, Joe. I think we're taking anybody that wants to stand up to these assholes. So let's dive in on that. So for folks that haven't seen it today, the big news of the morning is that they found the D.C. pipe bomber from 4 years ago. If you don't remember, after the same day or maybe the day after the January 6th stuff, there were a couple of pipe bombs left in front of the DNC and the RNC. Kamala Harris was actually at the DNC when the pipe bomb was left. They were unable to find them. There was this whole right-wing conspiracy theory. I don't know if you saw this, Joe. Dan Bongino was on Fox last night, and Sean Hannity was like, you claimed that this was like an FBI conspiracy. Why are you not saying that now? And he's like, I got paid to say those things, which I can't believe he decided to admit that out loud. It's just nuts to me. But now they found the guy, and it turns out that he is basically a part of the January 6th crowd. He believed Trump, that the election was rigged. He was a MAGA guy, and which to me begs the question, will he get a pardon? Because Trump pardoned everybody else who was part of January 6th.
The Dan Bongino thing you mentioned and you laughed at, as you should, I find so sad because I come from right-wing media, and what I'm doing, Mike, is Dan Bongino acknowledged that in his prior life before the FBI, nothing he put out was fact-based. But now that he's with the FBI, he's got to put out the facts. And I'm putting this in front of all my former MAGA followers, kind of like helpfully, Mike, trying to like say, look it, guys, it ain't you. Look what the bullshit that people like Bongino, the shit they put in front of you for years. Wake up, guys. To your point, not a shock, right? This guy's a January 6er. He believed the election was stolen. And if form holds, Trump's going to pardon him.
Yeah. I mean, I
And
don't
by the
think
way, Mike, can I ask you a question?
yeah.
D It seems like we should have known about this guy earlier.
Yeah. I don't know why they couldn't find him. I don't understand what that's about.
And how long has the Justice Department had him? Yeah,
And they arrested him yesterday morning, right? Or the day before?
yeah, it's just weird, and but
It's
obviously
weird to me that after the conspiracy theory that right-wing media got obsessed with, they basically targeted and identified this person who I'm not gonna say a lot about 'cause, they didn't have anything to do with it, they were innocent, and their life has been completely upended. But, yeah, everything about it does seem a little bit sketchy to me, and I don't understand it, but I wanna trust that the men and women of the FBI who, yes, are led by Kash Patel, who is a clown, are doing their jobs and doing it right.
agreed, but we are at a point right now in our country where we can't believe a word this administration puts out, this government puts out. We can't believe a word the Justice Department puts out. And again, sadly, Michael, we can't believe a word the FBI leadership puts out.
Yeah.
I don't. I'm all with the rank and file of the FBI and the Justice Department. They don't like their leadership. It just seems weird that it took this long. Some folks are asking us, Mike, why you and I are just assuming Trump might pardon this Jan Sixer.
Why I'm assuming he might? I mean,
Why you and I think he will.
I don't think he will because I think he will understand how bad of the politics are for him on this particular one. But to me, it's like you pardoned everybody who was part of January 6th. You pardoned cop beaters. You pardoned there's a guy this morning who was a
Yeah.
January 6th rioter who got a pardon from Trump that the DOJ is asking a judge to lock in prison because he's like running around Jamie Raskin's neighborhood plotting to kill him. And that guy got a pardon from Donald Trump.
And that guy, Mike, after he got a pardon 6 months ago, he was roaming around Barack Obama and Michelle Obama's neighborhood
Oh, it's the
late at
same
night.
guy?
Same guy. And he was held and then released, lives in Washington State. And you're right, this week they caught him at 2 o'clock in the morning roaming around Jamie Raskin's neighborhood.
I mean, these are not good mentally stable people that Donald Trump has released back out in the world. And it feels like at least once or twice a week, one of them gets into trouble. And it's really scary. And I want to go back to the paying stuff on Bongino for just a second before we lose it, because
Yeah.
I think part of the reason that there's such a distrust in our institutions is because so many of these people who built these big audiences have been paid to sow that distrust. And my question for Bongino is, who paid you to spread those conspiracy theories? Because you were getting a ton of money from your paid subscribers, from your ad revenue and stuff like that. But who paid you specifically? Was it the Trump campaign? Was it the Republican Party? Was it foreign ops? Because we know that, like, was it Benny Johnson and a couple others? Not Nick Fuentes, the other one, the guy who's in Chicago. What's his name? Tim Pool. Tim Pool was taking money to do like anti-Ukraine propaganda from the Russian government. And DOJ was investigating that up until Donald Trump took over the DOJ and squashed all of that. So it feels like the rampant flow of money into our political and influencer ecosystem is really crushing the American people. And you don't know who believes what. And let me add one more thing, Joe.
Yeah.
It also happens on the left, and I want to flag two ways that it's happening right now, and you could be comfortable with this or not. Polymarket and Kalshi and those other like predictive markets, you can get paid. I have seen the emails. I have not been offered because they know that I hate them. But like, I've seen the emails where they've offered to pay people for like predicted. If you post this, we'll pay you like $250 every time you post it. And that's why you see more and more of that. And the other thing is like a lot of big time influencers, and I'm not even criticizing them. It's a lot of people that I know and a lot of people I love and respect. They're getting paid by Gavin Newsom right now to promote him for president. Like that is a thing that is happening. And it's part of the reason he's rising in the polls right now, which again, do you have a moral or ethical responsibility to disclose that? I usually disclose when I'm talking about a client of mine, but I've never been paid to promote anybody. I just talk and say whatever the fuck I want.
The average social media user, Mike, is not aware of what you just said, that a lot of influencers can be paid by people like Gavin Newsom to push their stuff. Look, and that's problematic, and there always should be full disclosure. I'm just saying, coming from the right, I know what happens on the left, but the right, more so than the left, has been utterly untethered to truth for a while. Some of it may have to do with money, Mike, but a lot of it has to do with Trump's the leader of the party. Trump said he won the 2020 election. So if you want to keep an audience and keep a show and keep ratings and stay in office, you got to echo those lies, the bullshit. Trump says they're eating cats and dogs. If you want audience, you got to echo that shit. That's also part of the game that the Bonginos of the world played. January 6th was a great patriotic day. The FBI was behind it. Okay, Bongino, as a podcaster, you got to parrot that shit to keep your MAGA audience. We all had that decision to make. I couldn't do it because I couldn't lie. But it may be money, but it's more than money. It's to stay in Trump's
Relevant.
orbit. Keep
Yeah.
that audience.
Well, it's interesting to me because there was a poll out this morning that was showing like of Republican voters, the percentage of people who believe in
Yeah.
certain crazy things, and it was like, 50%. I mean, the numbers are not right, but it was like 30-40% believe we faked 9/11 and like stuff like
Yeah.
that. And I was like, my question with those kind of numbers is it's chicken or egg. Like, are they being polluted, or are these people like so detached from reality that then if you want to glide it to power, like you can act like Donald Trump does? And so like that's why I always say Trump is not the reason the country's in the toilet right now. Trump is a symptom of broader sickness that exists in this country at every level, which in my opinion has to do with accountability and responsibility and keeping like a very wealthy and powerful class of people, in line for the shit that they do and the people that they hurt. So Trump is a natural consequence of that.
Yes.
But I really don't know.
No, I think you're right. Look, Michael, you and I could spend all night and a bunch of booze on this. Donald Trump is the ugly consequence of a broken political system, and of a people that, as you said, would rather have their kind of own beliefs confirmed than really deal with the truth. Way too many Americans are like that. It's more pronounced on the right. But I tell my new Democratic friends and fans, there are issues too among Democratic voters. We go to MSNBC because we believe certain things about MAGA, and we want to hear Lawrence O'Donnell or Rachel Maddow confirm what we believe. There's much too much of that. It's why, again, you are a Democrat. I'm a new Democrat. You would never fucking say something you didn't believe. Every time you do this, every time you go on TV, you're going to tell people what you think, whether that gains you an audience or loses you.
Yeah.
We need that.
I'd rather grow slow. I'd rather have 5,000 people interested in what I had to say than a million people that are interested in me playing some Candace Owens role. And like,
Bingo.
it's unfortunate, but I can't do it. Like, and as somebody who's worked in digital for 20 years, like I can kind of see. I've told my wife this 1,000 times. I love the show Better Call Saul, which is the prequel show for Saul Goodman and Breaking Bad. And I see a lot of myself in that because like my ability to sort of see every angle and like how to like fuck shit up. But like I refuse to do it. But when I was a kid, I lied constantly. Like I was just like a big, like I'd lie about the dumbest shit just to prove I could get away with it. And now I've discovered that that's like a theatrical part of myself. So I use it to like be silly with my son or play Dungeons and Dragons. But like I see that and it's so obvious. But like you can. Like Candace Owens is full of shit. She currently believes the French government's trying to murder her because she's exposing Charlie Kirk's murder. Like, what the fuck? Like, she's a crazy person.
She's a crazy person, Michael. Yeah. And again, everything you and I are talking about is way more pronounced in the world I come from on the right. Bongino was just one of many. But man, if you are an influencer on the left and you want to say, oh my God, Trump's going to be impeached, Hegseth's going to be impeached tomorrow, and just throw out bullshit like that, like your left of center audience wants to hear, you're going to grow an audience, whether you believe that shit or not. You and I would never say that unless we believed it.
No, and I actually think it'd be really stupid for Democrats to bring up impeachment charges on Trump. Like I would tell my clients not to do that because it isn't going to happen. And instead, I want you to do things that are going to try to help people because that's what people want right now, and that's pathway back to power. That's maybe a good pivot into our next topic. Before we do, thank you to the about 1,000 of you who are here. Please do us a favor if you're watching on Substack, hit the heart button for us. The more you hit that button, the more people get a chance to see. If you're watching it on YouTube, hit the like button, leave a comment. That engagement does make a big difference for us. Subscribe, by the way, if you're watching it and subscribing, like not subscribe to either Joe or I, like please do that. And then make sure you subscribe to us on Substack too and become a paid subscriber to support our work. It's $8 a month. Joe's doing incredible work. And we're building out our content studio, which we're launching officially on January 5th, which I'm excited. I have to go right after this to open the door for painters because we have painters who are coming to do the ceiling and the walls. It should be really cool. Let's talk about the Cuellar part next because I have a piece up right now. And in the title of the piece is, every corrupt Trump pardon is a middle finger to the American people. And I really believe this. And I'm specifically focusing on Cuellar today because he's one of my people. He's a Democrat. He's one of us. He's a congressman from Texas. He was accused by Biden's DOJ and was awaiting trial for taking a $600,000 bribe from a U.S. Oil company, or maybe it wasn't an oil company, it might have been a foreign oil company, but like he took this money and the DOJ was prosecuting him for it. And look, there's a lot of Democrats out there who have said the case against Cuellar was flimsy. I don't know. I've met Henry Cuellar. I've worked for Cuellar like a long time ago in the beginning of my career when I first started my company. Seemed like a perfectly pleasant, nice man. I never had really any issues with him. I know he's kind of more conservative than I am on a bunch of issues, but he represents a very Republican district. I don't want him to go to prison. I don't want it to be politically risky for the Democrats. But I think if we are going to be serious about corruption in this country, we have to target it within our own party. And maybe Cuellar is innocent, maybe he's not. It should have gone to trial. Donald Trump should not be the one who determines whether or not a member of the United States Congress is innocent or not. That bothers me.
Why, Mike, I agree with everything you just said. Why would Trump pardon him?
So the assumption when he pardoned him was that two days ago in the morning was that Cuellar was going to switch parties because he's a pretty conservative Democrat.
That's what I thought.
Well, he didn't. He filed for re-election. He says he's not switching parties. I have to think money was moved on some level, or there's some political favor somewhere. There's a lot of, my fellow content creators and strategists on the internet that are like, this is some Machiavellian move by Donald Trump to divide the Democratic Party. And I'm like, no, there's some deal was made somewhere in here. Like Trump doesn't do anything if it isn't good for him or somebody else in his inner circle. I don't know what they got, but I know that it smells like shit. And like Cuellar maintains his innocence, fine, but like then it would have come out in a trial.
And Michael, the other thing I found disappointing, again, I don't know the particulars of the case, but Hakeem Jeffries, hopefully the next Speaker of the House. Well, let me rephrase that. The Democrats are going to take back the House. I want a damn good Speaker. Hakeem Jeffries comes out right away and says, great, it was a bullshit case. I was bothered by that. Again, though, unless Jeffries knows shit, I don't know. I'm bothered by that reaction of Jeffries.
I like Hakeem a lot. I know he gets a lot of shit from people, but like I generally like Hakeem, and I was disappointed about that. Like I don't get it. And to me, it's like, it's the kind of thing that undermines our ability to talk about the corruption that Donald Trump is engaging with, which by the way, Trump's corruption is on a scale that we've never seen before in the United States. But the reason he gets away with it is because people believe both political parties are corrupt.
Yes.
Every politician's out for themselves. And if we don't fight the corruption in our own party on insider trading, on this type of corruption from Cuellar, potentially anything else, we do not have any credibility to talk about this stuff. And I think the next Democratic president and administration has to get fucking serious about reining this in. And I'm not entirely convinced this version of the Democratic Party will be. And so to me, it undermines it. The same thing is I took, and I'll hand it back to you, Joe, after this, is like I took a ton of shit at the start of the year when Joe Biden pardoned his son and when he pardoned other people. And I understand why he did that. And I know people get mad at me, but like pardoning your son, and I say this as a father, like honestly, like I would probably pardon my son in the same situation, but that is an abuse of power by the president of the United States to pardon your son, who's, by the way, your own DOJ prosecuted your son and found him guilty of a crime. And he should face the consequences of that. That's why people don't engage in politics. Like a third of Americans don't even bother to vote. That's why.
Boom. And as to what you said, Michael, it normalizes Trump.
Yes.
Then everything fucking thing Trump does. Trump has pardoned 1,500 people in the last 11 months. Obama pardoned 380 people over the course of 8 years. This is unprecedented. But Trump and his people, Michael, can say, well, look what Biden did. He pardoned his whole extended family, Hunter and the whole family. When Democrats do shit like this, it normalizes for the average voter the off-the-charts corruption that Trump engages in.
They give him credit for it. Like I wrote about this in my piece today. Is like the number of times that I have sat in on a focus group or I've read a poll and people basically say something along that. My mother says this all the time. It makes me want to stick a fork in my ear. She'll go, Mike, they're all corrupt. They're all doing the same stuff. And I'm like, and she's like, I actually give Donald Trump credit because he's being more honest.
Oh, he's open. He's open about it. I know.
Yeah, it kills me.
The same thing, though, again, not to go down a hole here, but Biden has that horrible debate, and then he gets out, and they basically handpick Kamala, who I love. They handpick her. And that whole process gave all of Trump's supporters the ability to say, oh, see, rigged, stolen election. They're doing the same thing, that Trump did, blah, blah, blah. And for the average voter, they look at this, they look at what Biden and Harris and everybody did, and they think, both parties suck. They both handpicked their nominees. It's all bullshit. That's so wrong, but that's what the average voter thinks when you do stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, and in RP, like, I see your comment, they didn't handpick her, no one else decided to run against her, but, like, she was handpicked. Like, that. Now, I'll say that at the moment that Joe Biden dropped out, I don't think there was anywhere else for us to go. Like, I don't think it would have made sense to have some kind of, like, weird snap convention, although it would have been, Joe, and I pitched this at the time, would have been incredible fucking TV. We just would have been, like, forget whether or not it's, like, good democracy, it would have been incredible TV, and I kinda wanted to see it. But the real thing is, like, we didn't stand up to the White House as a party, and we didn't force a primary, and nobody other than Dean Phillips, who, like, I don't really have anything against Dean, but, like, he's about as interesting as a saltine to me as a candidate. So, like, those are mistakes that we made that basically let them go, see, this bullshit we've been spewing you forever is real, and, like, we played into their game, and, like, we've got to be smarter than that.
And Michael, you've been all over this week, so have I. I'm not exaggerating. Donald Trump every fucking day is falling asleep multiple times in the middle of the day. Boom, 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 boom.
In his defense, in Donald Trump's defense, I also would fall asleep if I had to listen to Marco Rubio at a cabinet meeting.
Fine, good. I'm with you. But this is happening every day, right? Every day he's falling asleep. This should be a big fucking story. But again, Biden had a great first term, but what does the average voter say? Well, Joe, look how old Biden was, and he had to take naps every day. Because the Democrats didn't handle that whole thing well, the average voter can say they were both old, they both fall asleep, big deal.
We're in the situation that we're in today because Joe Biden decided to run for re-election. And again, I love Joe. But I think if we had a full, open, vibrant primary, either Kamala Harris would have been the nominee and she would have been a better nominee with a stronger campaign, or somebody else would have risen to the occasion and they would have beaten Donald Trump because he was not a good candidate. He does not have the magic that people think.
Yeah, no,
people
not at all.
So pissed about Joe Biden and they were so pissed about the economy. And if we had an effective communicator that was at least a few degrees separated from the Biden White House, I think we would have been able to eke out a win. Remember, we only lost by 180,000 votes in 3 states.
I've always wanted to ask you this because I love to prop you and throw roses your way.
Which is a nice way of saying get me in trouble with my clients.
No, this will not get you in trouble. But I love to pick your brain, and I've never formally asked you this question. Right. And I adored Kamala Harris. You did as well, and we both still do. And we campaigned our asses off for her. Yeah. If that had happened, Biden gets elected in 20, and in 2022, after the midterms, he's having a great first term. He comes out and says, yeah, you know what? Fuck it. I am going to be that bridge, man. We're going to get great stuff done the next 2 years, but I'm not running for re-election. If he had said that in 22, I'm going to be the bridge, and then boom, you've got a 2-year open primary for the Dems. Would we have beaten Trump in 24?
Yeah, I think so. There's a chance that Trump might not have been the nominee too, because maybe Republicans would have made a different decision at the time. Because, again, you throw a little pebble into a pond and it creates ripples. I'm a big, in my science fiction time, I really enjoy time travel novels. And time travel movies, my favorite shit. The people ask me all the time, would you go back in time? And I go, no, because I'd be fucking terrified that I'd come back and my son would be gone. Like that, it lives rent-free in my head. But while we're playing Monday Morning Quarterback, I think if we had a full primary, the party would be in a much stronger position because we would have had 20 candidates that ran. We would have developed so much more talent, tools, technology, strategies, which would have been really valuable for us to have in the last election. And we'd be in a stronger position right now. Part of the problem in the party right now is there's no bench of talent from the lack of a presidential campaign. We can't not have primaries again. And we also can't do what we did in 16. No offense to Hillary Clinton, who I have a lot of respect for, but she pushed everybody out of the primary and nobody else really ran, and which gave way for Bernie, which is great. Bernie consolidated the anti-Hillary vote and I think changed the face of the country in a lot of different ways. But I would have rather have had 12 candidates that ran against Hillary because she probably would have won and she'd have been a better candidate. And we'd have had all these new people who joined, who got excited and became part of the process. And we're lacking that right now. And that to me sucks. And it honestly, when I'm hiring talent right now, it's hard to find people. I don't have enough people that want to work in Democratic.
But you've got, Mike, don't we right now have a bunch of contested primaries for House and Senate races? Kind of a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, the Michigan Senate race is good. Like, as much as I'm frustrated with the establishment's choice in that race,
Yeah.
and I'm working for Mallory McMorrow, which I've talked about before, I'm grateful to have that primary because it will develop new talent. And
Yeah.
frankly, like, there's a lot of conversation. A couple people asked about it in the comments about Jasmine Crockett maybe running for
Yeah.
Texas Senate. I'm not doing anything in Texas Senate. I don't think I'm going to do anything in Texas Senate. I would like to stay out of it, frankly. But like,
I'd love to see
I
her run.
so I'm gonna give I have a nuanced take on this.
Okay.
I don't think that Crockett will be a very good general election candidate. I think all the polling is pretty clear on that. However, my view of it is if she wants to run, that's her prerogative to run. And she's got to go prosecute the case for her to win the primary, and she's got to go prosecute the case in the general election. And if Tallarico or Colin Allred can't beat her, then they weren't the right candidate for the general. Like, my general belief is if you can't win a primary, you can't win a general election.
Okay, but can I shoot that down?
Yes, go ahead.
And just a little inside baseball. So you could almost argue that if Tennessee 7 had a more moderate candidate this past week, might have won, certainly would have come maybe more close than 9 points. The Democratic candidate in that special election this past week was fairly far left. She was in AOC territory. You know that I looked at
a few steps behind, but yeah.
yeah, you know that I looked at a certain Senate race in a southern state, and I would have been a very strong general candidate against that prick. But I would have had a hard time winning a primary, even in South Carolina, against a very progressive candidate. I just think Democrats need to support candidates who can win in generals in different parts of the country. You
I
say that a lot. I say that a lot.
I mean, I agree too. Look, I think candidate selection matters. By the way, I've told you 1,000 times you should have run for that seat.
I
And, like,
know.
I was
I
all
still
about it.
might. Damn it,
So
Nellis, I still might.
you and Katie Fang, I told you both to run. But anyway,
Katie would be great, by the way,
it
Mike.
was. I mean, she admitted on a stream she was thinking about running for something.
Oh,
But like, I know what it is, but I don't remember if she said what it was on stream. So I don't
yeah,
wanna
yeah.
and make news. But I mean, we should be trying to find candidates who are aligned. But look, I mean, Afton moved the race 13 points towards the Democrats. It was on the low end of the specials, but I don't think we could have pulled more than 2 points out of that. And
Okay,
I also
okay.
think the trade-off might have been because she was more progressive, she juiced the shit out of turnout in Nashville,
Got it.
and then got killed in the rural areas. It may have just been that a more moderate candidate might have reversed that, where, like, you might have lost a few points in Nashville, but gained a few points in the rurals, which would not have been enough to turn that race. And the other thing is, Republicans spent $5 million to make that a midterm
Yeah,
level
yeah.
turnout election. And we still moved by 13 points. Like, if we did that, Anna Paul Lunalina will be unemployed if that happens in November.
But if it might just put an end to this, if Crockett did get in, and don't tell me who would win, that would be a really competitive primary, wouldn't it?
I would think so. It's already a competitive primary
Yeah.
between Allred and Tallarico. I think it'll be close, and then they're all going to have to prosecute that case for why they're the right nominee, or there's going to be some consolidation, because that's what happened in Tennessee. There were 3 relatively moderate white men in the race, and Afton won by like 1.5 points, I think. So, and I thought Afton ran a good campaign. Like, I think all the shitting on her is sort of like Monday morning quarterbacking.
No,
Like,
no. She ran a good campaign.
yeah, like I had Simon Bazelon on the show yesterday. He was like a young guy, fresh out of college, just doing a lot of data analysis stuff. And I was like, if you think you can run better candidates, go find a candidate and run and prove it, because that's the answer.
Yeah,
You got to
yeah.
do that. I'm a little bit sick of the, like, Amanda Lippman was on the show yesterday. She called them reply guys. The reply guys on the internet that never fucking work on a campaign, but have a lot to say about the stuff.
Bingo.
I am a little bit like, I'm with her on that. So we talked about Cuellar's pardon. Let's talk about Hegseth. We've only got a couple minutes left. This Hegseth stuff is an absolute mess. Like, what's your take on how the last week has played out with Pete?
My broad take is what Senator Mark Kelly said, I think, on Monday. Not a surprise. None of this is a surprise. Mark Kelly said he's like a 12-year-old playing Army. And that's what the Secretary of Defense is.
Yeah.
Trump put him there. This is a condemnation of Trump, period. I just think we're going to have issues with Hegseth every other week for forever. And Mike, I know if Trump is ever going to have a head roll, because he's got so many unqualified cabinet heads, I wouldn't be surprised if it gets to a point where Hegseth has to go.
Yeah. I can't imagine that Hegseth will ever ask to go.
No.
He might get fired, but keep in mind, I'm not entirely sure Donald Trump is running the government right now. Like, Stephen Miller's getting exactly what he wants out of Pete Hegseth. It's a lot like Patel. The only thing about Patel is I think like he's legitimately standing in the way of doing what they want. Um, but
Yeah.
like if you're a member of the armed services, like you're watching Pete Hegseth like throw you under the bus for this stuff, and like I just think that that sends a chilling message, and it doesn't inspire a lot of confidence from him. And he's just I don't know. He's such a clown. He's just such a
He
clown.
he's a punk, and Mike, he's a clown, but again, I've said this before, all of my former colleagues have learned from Trump. When you fuck up, when you tell a lie, when you do something wrong, don't you dare fucking apologize. Double down on the lie, get in their face, go after your accuser. That's what Hegseth is doing. I mean, he's just doubling down. Fuck you, we're gonna take out another narco terrorist.
Yeah.
This is, again, this is a familiar refrain of yours and mine. I say this as a former member. This is what America looks like without a Congress. We would be having hearings now, bipartisan hearings on what the hell is going on off the coast of Guatemala, but we're not.
Well, and that's what we should be doing. And I'll frame it this way because when Democrats are in power, like Democrats are not as worried about executive overreach because we trust the man in the White House. But like we gave an extraordinary amount of power to the executive after 9/11, which in hindsight, I think was
Yeah,
wrong. And then Obama, Bush goes and gets, authorization to go in Iraq, authorization to go in Afghanistan. Obama starts to expand that to be like, hey, we're doing drone strikes
yeah,
in Lebanon, we're doing drone strikes
yeah,
elsewhere, we're identifying them as terrorists. Now Trump is using the same justification by creating a term called a narco-terrorist, which is a made-up term. It doesn't exist. It's like enemy combatant. And they're blowing
yeah.
up these boats. And to me, it's really easy to see it go from the Middle East to Venezuela to the Caribbean to suddenly, hey, I'm bombing drug traffickers in that I consider terrorists off the border in Mexico to
Yeah.
I'm going to blow up a mobile meth lab and Jesse Pinkman in Albuquerque to well, you know who else they call terrorists? People like you and I, Joe. They say that we're
Yeah.
terrorists. So now are they going to? And again, I'm not worried that there's a drone over my head, but like they're going to. Like I somebody or the next guy is going to do the natural evolution of this, start going after their political enemies, just calling us terrorists.
And again, I'll close this topic with this reminder. In Donald Trump's first term, he told his then Secretary of Defense, talking about American citizens protesting in DC, can't we just shoot at their legs? Let's just shoot at their legs. Talking about our military. Mark Esper said no. We are at a moment in time right now where this Secretary of Defense would never say no to what Trump
No,
demanded.
because he knows he'll
That's
get a pardon
scary.
at the end of it too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Like Hegseth's never going to be held accountable for this double
Never.
crossing. Never.
Never. They know. And that's a great point, Mike. All of his cabinet members know they're getting pardons for anything that happens.
Of course, 100%. All right, one final topic, and then we'll get out of here. But just this GOP uprising, like Nancy Mace floating, maybe resigning too with Marjorie Taylor Greene. There's reports there's a bunch of House caucus members that are just like, I'm done, I'm out. What's your take on the situation?
I think they all know, right, what's happening. It's a blue
Yeah.
wave next year. It's a blue tsunami next year. How big, we don't know, but it's not going to be a good year for Republicans. They want out. Most of them will not run again. This whole notion, though, Mike, again, I say this as a former member, Republican, Democrat, I hate the fucking idea of people resigning and just leaving office before their term's done. When you ask somebody for your vote, man, you're committing to a 2-year term. So it's utter bullshit what Marjorie did. I hope Nancy Mace doesn't do the same. But you're going to see tons of Republicans retiring.
I hope Nancy Mace does it only because it would trigger a special election in
Yeah.
R+13 district. That's the reason I want it, because I just think that would be really funny. But like again, Johnson is the worst Speaker of the House in the history of this country. Like I have no other nice way to say it.
The weakest.
Certainly
Yeah.
the weakest. Like he does everything Donald Trump wants him to do. He can't keep his caucus together. They can't legislate at all. In my opinion, he embarrassed himself during the shutdown and his stock went down. Like his members are rebelling in a way that I don't like. This would never happen to Nancy Pelosi. Like Nancy Pelosi would shiv you if you like even looked at her funny. Like, and there's value to that.
Well, and Mike, the important point here is the ship is sinking. The Republican Party ship is sinking. None of them will point to Trump as the blame.
They're
So
gonna blame
they
it on
need someone else to blame. Man, Mike Johnson's a perfect target.
Yep, they're going to blame it on Johnson. They're going to blame it on Thune. They're going to blame it on immigrants. They're going to blame. That's all they know how to do is just blame it instead of taking any responsibility for any of the shit that they've done. That's a good place to end it. Everybody, thank you. 1,400 of you on a Friday afternoon. You guys are the best. We love this community. Go subscribe to Joe Walsh. Go follow him on every major social media platform. Become a paid subscriber. Do the same for me, Mike Nellis, if you're willing to. Endless Urgency is free, but $8 a month helps cover the cost for our new studio, paying our staff, etc. And we'll see you guys next week.
Love you, brother. Thanks, Michael.
Talk to you later, Joe. Appreciate you.
Thank you for listening. Remember to listen, share, and follow The Social Contract with Joe Walsh on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere great podcasts are found. And be sure to leave a 5-star review. This has been The Social Contract with Joe Walsh.